Hi, I'm Karen. We're here at Montavilla Sewing Center, and today we're talking about the Baby Lock Allegro. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make buttonholes. Now, to set up for doing your buttonhole, first of all, you need your buttonhole foot. You also need a seam ripper to open your buttonhole once you have it formed, and then have a marking pen to show where you want to have your buttonhole on your fabric. Now, it's always a good idea to make a test buttonhole on your fabric before you do it on your garment. Okay, so a lot of people will use interfacing in their buttonholes. That's a good idea to use, but there's another way to do it on a front placket of a shirt, and that's to take your fabric and fold it 3 times. Now, when you're cutting out your shirt, make sure that you have extra fabric like that. And that 3rd layer gives you something like interfacing. You always want to make sure to have at least 3 layers when you're using shirt weight fabric. So take your button and your buttonhole foot, open that up, and there's a little picture of a button right there. I don't know if you can see it, but that's where you put your button, and that is going to determine how long your buttonhole is going to be. Then we want to change our feet. Put this back in the accessory tray. And we're going to put the foot on. Now, to lift this up a little higher, you can do that. You also might need to roll your hand wheel back a little bit to raise the needle, get it out of the way so that you can put your buttonhole foot on your machine. There we go. Now, this does not have a slit in here for allowing the thread to get through easily. So what I'm going to do is just do a needle down, needle up, and then I pull my fabric out of there, and that puts the thread right into that hole there. Okay, now we go over to the touch panel and we select buttonhole. Now this gives you the square end buttonhole, which is the most common type, but you do have other buttonholes that you can make up here that you could select using the navigation buttons. So I'm going to put a mark with my disappearing pen on my fabric. That's going to be the center of the buttonhole, and then I put right here where the beginning of the buttonhole is going to be. Now we're going to line this up. Again, we can give it a little extra lift if our fabric is a little lofty. What we want to do is there's a little lump of plastic right in the center. You can kind of see it right there. You want to line up that longitudinal line with that mark, and then get the cross line pretty much in the middle there. You can actually test it out by lowering your needle and seeing if it touches that cross mark, and if it's a little bit beyond it, that's okay, because we want that cross mark to be where the beginning of the opening of the buttonhole is. Now we also want to make sure that this is parallel here. Now look over at the touch screen. See what's blinking? There's the buttonhole lever. We need to pull that down. Now it's not blinking anymore. That means that's important there, because that's going to tell the machine what part of the buttonhole to make, when to stop at the end and make the bar tack, and when to come down the other side. Okay, so let's get started. Notice I made a locking stitch at the end, and we can just press our cutter button, cut the threads, and it lifts up the needle. Then we can trim these pretty close to where it ended, and it's just fine. Don't need to tie off any stitches, because the machine has done that for you. The next thing we need to do is open the buttonhole. So we want to take a pin, put it right here at the end of our buttonhole to guard the buttonhole, and then I'm going to take my seam ripper right here and start at this end, going straight down the middle of the buttonhole almost to the pin, flip it over, reset the pin on the back, and start down here again. There we go. Now I'm going to take the button out of the buttonhole foot. If I had other buttons, I'd probably use them instead, but I'm going to take this one out of here. This is the only one I have of this kind. And put that button through there just to make sure it fits, and it fits great. Now, there's these extra threads in here. I always like to trim those off to make my buttonhole nice and neat. And make sure there's no little loops of thread that the button can get caught on. There we go. Also, if you've noticed when you button your button on your sample buttonhole, if it seems a little bit loose, what you can do is next time you make a buttonhole, you can cut it a little bit further away from the bar tack. Just remember to do the same thing on all of your buttonholes. Now, if it turns out to be too tight, say for instance this was a thick button, then what you could do is just give a little extra room here, maybe just one click, and that'll give you a longer buttonhole. And that's how you make buttonholes on the Baby Lock Allegro. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, give us a like. We have lots of other videos on our Montavilla YouTube channel, but if there's something that you'd like to see us make a video on, leave that in the comments down below. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Bye.